gained his composure somewhat.
Well, Chris Ferguson hasn't gone anywhere. And now that Phil's back, the fans are eager to resume.
Where's that Chris Ferguson at? Rubber match.
The rubber match indeed. Each player has won one. This will be the deciding match. And just to reset, the blinds will go back to 4,000 and 8,000, and each player starts with 640,000 in chips. The deciding third and final match to crown a national heads-up poker champ. And Helmuth starts out with a big pair of tens.
And he doesn't raise. He's going back to his traditional style. That's what match won for him when he didn't raise with 2 nines.
Chris Ferguson with 8-6 offsuit.
He faked a raise.
And instead just checks. So our first flop comes out. Ace, King, Jack.
Now, even though we see what a huge favorite Phil is in this hand, he does not like that flop. There are 3 overcards.
Both players check into the turn, which brings another 10 for Helmuth.
Phil Hellmuth makes a set of 10s. You can see the graphic there. He cannot lose this pot. The reason he's only 91% is a queen would bring a tie.
Chris Ferguson can only tie. He cannot win the pot, and he bets 15,000.
He's representing that he has a queen, and Phil does not put in a raise. Again, conservative.
Helmuth called. The river is a 7 of diamonds.
Now, what Phil has to realize is Chris could be betting any number of hands. He could be betting aces, aces up, kings and jacks, kings and tens. Phil Hellmuth is back to his conservative play.
Ferguson bets out 30,000.
Is this really the first hand? Wow.
Phil almost seems like he's a little paranoid about this hand. I can't believe that he's thinking about throwing it away. It's only 30,000. There's $76,000 out there right now. He's got to call his $30,000 bet.
Because I have another set.
He shows his hand and folds it, perhaps confirming to Ferguson that he's still a little shell-shocked from that bad beat in match 2.
That's the worst play I've seen Phil Hellmuth make in this tournament.
Let's go to Lindsay.
Down here with Howard Lederer, who is as shocked as anyone. How crazy was that last match?
That was an amazing. Hand. It was really just the whole match was one hand, and it was a 10-to-1 shot. There were 44 cards left on the deck, and 40 of them win for Phil, and 4 of them win for Chris. So it was a 10-to-1 shot, but they're still playing. They're on to the third match.
What do you think when you see Phil react like that?
I think grow up. I mean, I've seen it a lot, and that's part of poker. And it doesn't just happen to him; it happens to everybody. And I think he'd be better served to be ready to be thinking about the next match instead of thinking about how unlucky he got in that match.
Thank you, Howard. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Howard's trying to make sense of everything. The fact that it happens to everybody doesn't matter to Phil Hellmuth. It happened to him, and so far he's playing very badly because of it. Let's see if it continues.
Jack 10 for Chris Ferguson. He raises to 24,000. And pocket jacks for Hellmuth. He calls.
I can't believe it. I really disagree with this. He's got a raise there.
Phil checks in the dark.
Flop is 8-7 ace.
Ace of spades, 7 of spades, 8 of clubs.
Hellmuth checks.
Chris Ferguson has got an inside straight draw. He can make the high straight, the highest possible straight with a 9.
He leads out with 30,000, and Hellmuth raises another 30 to 60,000 now.
This is a minimal raise. He's trying to find out cheaply if Chris has an ace. But what I think it's going to do is make Chris call. and Phil could get outdrawn. He should have raised about 70 to 100,000. Chris is taking his time as usual.
And after that measured response, he calls.
30,000 more.
Turns a 6 of clubs.
Turn card is a 6 of clubs.
No help to Chris Ferguson.
Double knuckles.
Helmuth again quickly checks.
Chris Ferguson is sensing that Phil is weak.
Chris Ferguson is
Bets
betting
90,000.
90,000.
Helmuth calls.
I think he's got a call there, Matt. He just can't give Chris an ace and give him the pot.
Chris bet 90,000.
River card's the king of spades. Phil quickly checks.
River is the king of
Now, if
spades.
Chris bets here, that's a dangerous card for Phil Hellmuth. If Chris was going for a flush, he's made it. It's another over card, a king. Chris has been betting pretty steady in this hand. It's going to be real hard for Phil to call if Chris bets. Chris is definitely thinking about it.
And he bets 180,000.
Great bet, great play by Chris Ferguson. I have to tell you, Chris did not play that great in the first 2 matches. He got lucky to win that second match, but he is playing great in this match so far. He's playing like a world champion. And the opposite is true about Phil Hellmuth. He played great in the first 2 matches. In this match so far, he's playing terrible. He should have been much more aggressive with his pair of jacks. He wouldn't have found himself in this situation. At this point, if he calls, it would be a great call.
80,000 to call.
Phil Hellmuth has again laid down a winning hand. And in doing so, yields a big pot to Chris Ferguson, who opens this championship match by abusing an apparently still shell-shocked Phil Hellmuth. Welcome back to the Golden Nugget Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas to relive all the best moments from the 2005